Meeple Nation Podcast, episode 504, the top 5 board games we're including in the next Voyager launch.
Welcome, citizens, to Meeple Nation. Grab your favorite beverage, pull up a chair, warm up those dice, and join us at the game table as we discuss board games and the board gaming world. Each week, the hosts of Meeple Nation share their love for board games and the amazing memories that come from playing games with some very outstanding people. Let us now join our hosts in their natural habitat, the game table.
Meeple Nation Podcast is sponsored by GameToppersLLC.com. Berkey creates some amazing product.
True.
It's product that can fill a regular table. It can fill an empty space.
True.
All these things are amazing.
Are the answers to all of these questions true?
It is. Does Berkey have the best game mats in the industry?
True.
Does Berkey have amazing accessories that go with his tables?
True.
Does Berkey have amazing tables that are made out of premium military grade aluminum?
Also true.
Is there the opportunity to enhance that to a nice wood inlay?
Also true.
And does it come with someplace to store your drinks?
Also true.
So with all that truth, why aren't you at Game Toppers LLC buying your own Game Topper?
Is that what's called dropping a truth bomb?
That is dropping a truth bomb right there.
Not a false statement made.
Yeah. That is an amazing project. You can enhance a table. You can enhance a room. You can enhance the coffee table.
Yes.
All great products that can be found at GameToppersLLC.com.
Fantastic. Welcome to Meeple Nation. We are the hosts. I am Douglas Stewart.
I am Nathan Howard.
And we are still down and Andy.
That Andy is missing. Well, when we're recording this, Andy and his 2 daughters are having a blast at BGG-Con.
Yeah, which makes me envious.
Yes, yeah, we're sulking here at home while they're off having grand adventures and making it very sad that we're not there. But next year,
if we sound sad, if there's any sadness in our voices today, dear listener, just know it's because we're just thinking of our beloved Andy in Texas playing games without us.
Yeah, next year is going to be better. Next year, we're all going to be there again, and we're going to have a grand time.
It'll make it even better.
It'll make it even better.
We'll be even more juiced up and jonesing.
Indeed.
Speaking of juiced up and jonesing, if you are juiced up and jonesing for a fantastic website where you can learn a little bit more about us or check out all of our past episodes, then go check out meeplenation.com. You can read some blogs, check out episodes, like I said, learn a little bit more about us. There's also a link to our Patreon page. We are always so grateful for any support we get. So if becoming a supporter of the show is something you're interested in, head on over to meeplenation.com, click the Patreon link, and consider becoming a supporter. Right now, our supporters are getting bonus content at early access, and we've got some more surprises and goodies up our sleeve. We're hoping to get out soon. We've been saying that for a while. It's tough when we're all, have full-time jobs and families and everything else. We are working on things. We promise we really are. And hopefully we'll have more information about what that is in the future. Also, we love to hear from you. So if you've got something to say, we're listening. Please drop us a line at meeplenation@gmail.com.
All right. With that, let's go to our favorite part of the podcast. One of our favorite parts for sure. And that's talking about games that we've played recently. Our gaming highlights. Doug, what have you been playing lately?
Okay, so I had the opportunity. I've played this a couple times. One at game night, one at my house. And I still haven't taught my wife. I know she's going to like it. This is a follow-up to a really great little filler game called Point Salad, which I thoroughly enjoy. I think it's great. We've taught this to friends. I think it's not, I don't know if I'd consider it a gateway game, but it's a really great filler game.
For sure.
It's a really great one to bust out when you're, just playing with maybe non-gamer people and you've got maybe 20 minutes because it plays pretty quick. So this is the follow-up to that. This is Point City, and it uses a lot of the same mechanisms, kind of that really creative double card thing where you've got, a resource on one side of the card and then something that'll score or give you points or something like that on the other side of the card. And the way this works is you're going to lay out a grid of 12 cards and you're going to go around the table and you can either take 2 cards that are resources or as the game progresses, resources will get swapped out with the building side of the card, and building sides will get swapped out with resources. So that grid of 12 cards, it starts out as resources, but as it goes on, you'll get a mix of buildings and resources. So you kind of have some fun decisions to make about, okay, do I just need resources this turn? Ooh, do I have enough I could actually build 2 buildings this turn? Or typically, as the case may be, it's usually a combo of the two. I needed this resource and I'm going to try to build this building. But what's really cool is as you build those buildings, they come in front of you in like a little tableau, almost like Splendor, where as you complete building something, that it provides an ongoing resource for you to use so you can purchase more stuff.
So I like that. That's very nice.
Yeah, it's great. So as the game progresses, you're basically building up a tableau of cards that will buy you bigger and better cards. Now, the way you construct the deck that goes out in the middle that forms that grid is you kind of start with level 1 and then level 2 and then level 3 cards. So as your engine's getting ramped up, more expensive cards and of course cards that generate more points are coming out and hitting the table. So then it kind of provides that fun anxiety at the table because it becomes a little bit of a race to see who can get to some of those first. And, the player to your right is snapping up stuff that you want and you're shaking your fist, but then you're getting new stuff that comes out and you're like, ooh, that actually works. That's cool. I'm going to add that to my tableau. And then the person to your right shaking their fist at you going, that's what I would have wanted. Yep. And then you flop new cards out there and then they're buying those. And I thought that was really good. It plays fast. This is, again, it kind of falls in that like 15 to 20 minute window. I think this is a great filler game. I think Point Salad and Point City are, to me, really some of the best filler game products out there. They're not hard. They're not overly complicated. The art style isn't anything to write home about, but they're just a little 15 to 20 minute burst of fun.
Yeah, for sure. And I don't think it's not an expansion. It's not a re-implementation. I think it's an evolution.
Yeah, correct. Because I would absolutely agree with that.
They take some of those mechanics and they just made it. And I'm actually looking forward to see what they do next along those same lines, because I think the progression of this game, I see further development of this style and the way they kind of blend some of those mechanics that you see in other games. Great. And I was really surprised. I thought I was losing terribly at that game. And the point spread was like 5 points.
Yeah, and that was with I think 3 of us at the table.
Us,
so yeah, within 5 points of each other. So
yeah, so I was really surprised with that. I felt like I was doing very poorly the whole game, but turns out I was okay.
Yeah, good game. Definitely go check out Point City. And if you've played Point Salad and you liked it, you will definitely want to check out Point City.
So another new game that I have gotten to the table with my wife and myself is a fun game called Barren Park. Now, this is one that you own, Doug.
Yeah, I've actually been trying to get you guys to play it for a while.
Yeah, and it took, what it really took was it took a BGA implementation. So
lame.
Then I could buy a game, teach my wife, and play it. But we've just started our first game online, but we've played several times recently. And then I also picked up the Bad News Bears expansion, which has 2 modules in there that you can play separately or combine. Barren Park is you're building a bear park. You have a grid tile that you're going to put out that has your park entrance, and then you're going to be putting out different shapes. You have these green tiles that come in 1, 2, or 3 square sizes, and then you have the animal houses, which are 4 squares, and then you have the enclosures, which have a variety of sizes and shapes. But the way that you get these tiles is you start off the game. Whoever's first is going to get 1 tile, and whoever's second is going to get another tile. So everybody's going to start the game with the tile. And then on your first turn, you're going to place that tile that you have in your possession in your reserve, and you're going to put it on your board. And when you cover up an icon on the board, it's going to allow you to draw more green tiles. It's going to allow you to draw more animal houses, and it's going to allow you to draw more enclosures. It's possible that you're going to have a reserve that's going to have 2 or 3, 4, 5, 6 buildings in it. And so you get to choose which of those buildings that you're going to play. And some of those icons that you're going to cover are going to allow you to expand your grid. And you're wanting to build a total park of 4 sections. And if you can completely fill in those sections, then there's going to be 1 open pit that you can't build anything on. You're going to put your bear statue there when you've filled in everything else. And then when one person has completed their park, filled in everything, including those bear statues, then the next player is going to complete that round and then take 1 extra turn. And then you just tally up your scores. Very simple, very fast, fun game. You introduce the expansions. With the expansion, there's the 2 modules. The first module allows you to introduce a new type of bear enclosure. But these are large bear enclosures, and there's a wide variety of them. But in order to take one of those from the supply, you have to have in your reserve one of the smaller green buildings, so any of the green buildings, and one of the animal houses. And then you're going to discard both of those and replace it with one of these other bear enclosures. And these are big. They take up a lot of space. And then it also introduces an exit to your park. So your park, instead of being 4 tiles, is going to be 5 tiles. Gives you some more variety.
A little more real estate to play on.
Yeah, gives you a lot more options to place some of those bigger tiles on. I think it's a great expansion for the game. I think it's something that you need to play with all the time.
Yeah, me too. And actually, my favorite part of that expansion is actually the monorail.
Yeah.
I really like the monorail, and it's little 3D components. I mean, they're kind of cheesy, but you put the little bases down, and then you actually dangle the little like monorail cardboard piece that goes between the 2 stands. So you're actually building like this sort of 3D monorail that goes through your park. I really like that. I think it's quite clever.
Yeah, it's great. It can't go in a straight line, and it can't ever circle back on itself. But other than that, you're going to try to go throughout your park. And it was kind of funny. It seems like a really easy mechanic, but...
no, it's puzzly.
It is. Both of my wife and I, we got locked down. We only were able to make it 3 stops long.
Yeah, you've got to plan for it. You really do have to plan for that monorail, or you'll lock it in and you won't be able to do anything with it.
Yeah, it was kind of funny. The monorail was the part that broke the game for my wife. She's like, this is too much. I'm out.
Oh, really? Oh, no.
So, but we very much enjoy Barron Park. I would strongly suggest picking up the Bad News Bear expansion to go with it. Both the modules are very simple. They do evolve the game some, make it more of a thinking game, a strategic game. But Barron Park is a great game, amazingly well at 2 players. Just a great game.
Yeah, I would definitely agree. This is one I play with my boys from time to time, and they love it. I really do love Barron Park. I think it's a great game by who I think is a really great designer. Phil Walker Harding. He's done a lot of stuff that I really like. He also does Silver and Gold and a few others games, that I really enjoy.
All right. Well, this whole episode is dedicated to a question from our friend Salvatore.
Yeah, he gave us an episode prompt, and we loved it so much we were like, okay, we've got to make a whole episode out of that. It's really good. So he wrote to us, and I'm going to read what he wrote here really quick because I think it's a great setup for this episode.
For sure.
All right. He writes in, he says, Meeple Nation, I thoroughly enjoyed your episode 489, Top Games That Should Be in Every Collection. One of the wonderful things about your top 5 list is that you only give the show contributors the title of the list being discussed without defining the parameters of the list. I'm not sure if that's a backhanded compliment or not, but thank you, Salvatore. This enables each contributor to craft their personal list based on their own interpretation of the question being asked, which enables some fascinating discourse on the show. Thanks, Salvatore. That's nice feedback. We appreciate that. I often play a mental exercise whenever I listen to Meeple Nation Top 5 list and create my own top 5 list based on my interpretation of the question. For instance, on episode 489, I would have interpreted top games that should be in every collection as games that are a best representation of some facet or facets of the board gaming hobby that every board game aficionado should be familiar with. A literary analogy would be a list of top 5 American novels that should be in every American's personal library. I would choose Moby Dick, The Adventures of Huckleberry Finn, The Great Gatsby, The Invisible Man, and To Kill a Mockingbird. None of these novels are on my list of favorite books, but I've read them and understand the importance of their contribution to the evolution of American literature. As Americans, I think we should all have at least an awareness of a common literary heritage best represented by these books. So that's a pretty good example. This led me to an idea for a top 5 game list. This is the idea that we loved and ran with.
Yes.
He says, in 2023, NASA is sending another Voyager probe to interstellar space like it did with Voyager 1 and Voyager 2 in 1977. NASA is asking you to choose 5 games to put on the probe in case the spacecraft is ever found by intelligent life forms from other planetary systems. Like the golden record sent on the first 2 Voyager probes, there will be a golden-plated audiovisual disc on this probe that contains the game's rules only. No summaries of the importance of these games to the board game hobby or their cultural or historical impact are allowed on the disc. What 5 games do you put on the new Voyager probe, and why did you choose them? Salvatore. This is good. I like this a lot
This is a really good question.
because I kind of had fun with it, and it might be a little disappointing, but I had fun, so it's okay. It's my list.
Yeah, and I'm looking at your list now, and I'm like, yeah, you went a completely different direction than I did.
I definitely did. Okay, so starting with number 5 and working to number 1, because I do kind of have a little bit of a ranking and a thought process to the games that I put on mine. So starting with number 5, Nathan, you want to kick us off? What was your number 5 game that you are including?
So number 5, I picked a lot of games that were more focused on games that really kind of grandfathered mechanics and disciplines into what we have in our current board gaming hobby. So my number 5 is a cooperative game called Pandemic. Everybody's played this. There's disease that is running rampant, and us as wanting to save humanity, we're working together to find the cure and to eradicate these diseases. So this is a very simple cooperative game that has a mechanic that has been evolved in several games, has been a mechanic that has kicked off some of my very favorite legacy experiences. And this is a game that is just all about working together and controlling chaos. And so for me, I thought this was a great game to try to introduce to alien race.
Yeah, well, I like this because it also shows them that if they come here, they're going to get sick and die. So don't try it.
Well, I also put together a list of games not to include, and we'll get to that at the end real brief.
Okay, sounds good. I kind of actually have a feeling like some of the games you would have not included are some of the ones that I did include.
Maybe.
for various reasons. All right, so my number 5, I was thinking like, okay, here we go. The first thing I want to do is I want to just I want to establish where we come from, right? Like show them a little bit of our history, where humanity has come from. So my number 5 was Endless Winter Paleo Americans. Okay. This is humanity's humble beginnings and our fight for survival, but also that we began intimidating. Okay. So don't mess with us, right? Like even our ancestors carried big sticks and killed massive beasts out in the snow and the wild. And with that art by the Miko, we all look mean and intimidating. Yeah. So, enjoy this game rulebook, but also don't think about messing with humanity.
No Independence Day scenario here. Yeah.
You're gonna find that a lot of my list has to do with trying to avoid that very scenario.
All right, and mine is all about, hey, come on over.
We'll give you big hugs.
Yeah,
and get you sick. All right.
Is that back to me?
Yep. What's your number 4?
My number 4 is, for me, the game that kicked it off. And that is Settlers of Catan, or as it's better known today as simply Catan. Catan is, we're all about finding resources, establishing villages, establishing cities, and growing and occasionally stealing from each other. I think this game is just this evolution of we're making trades at the table, we're swapping goods, we're hoarding goods, we're monopolizing on those goods, we're playing that Monopoly card to get what I want sometimes. Just all of these basic mechanics are something that really, really developed the hobby.
So we'll get you sick and we'll take advantage of you economically.
For sure.
So send your ships right over. What do you got to trade?
You're totally tainting my list here, but
I'll trade you sheep for that strange gooey metal over there.
Yeah. But yeah, I think Catan is a great game to be able to introduce mechanics and to evolve that play at the game table.
Awesome. I like that. That's a good pick. All right. So next up on my list, I was like, okay, now that we've established that we are the dominant species and that we're intimidating, now we need to show these aliens how we grew and evolved and built great cities and monuments. And so I was like, okay, we got to include Foundations of Rome in this thing, right? This is the growth of humanity. This is all of our great accomplishments sort of wrapped up in one big box. And the thing is that, like, I get that this is just the rule book, but you've got pictures of this big sprawling city and all these components.
Yeah.
And I'm hoping that sort of helps them understand that we not only have tough beginnings, but then we built great things. So my number 4, Foundations of Rome.
Foundations of Rome is such a great game.
It is a great game.
Just sending pictures, I don't think is enough. It really needs that whole table presence, because you sit and you look at that game and that is impressive.
It is. Although putting that box on a probe would probably wreck the probe.
Yes, yeah. Probably way more than the probe.
Yeah, probably.
All right. My number 3 is the granddaddy of deck building games, and that is Dominion. The deck building mechanic stems from this game, and this game is nowadays I would almost be considered very vanilla, very plain. But there is a lot of nuance that is in this game and a lot of opportunity to create very quick games and very strategic games. And I strongly suggest when people play this game now that they go by the selected deck lists that are provided in the rules. They have a lot more experience with kind of playtesting these games and see what go together than maybe we do. I've played this game a ton at just picking random games, and I've had some very dud experiences with this game.
Yeah, it's cool that it does that. It's cool that the system allows you to just fully randomize all the cards that are out there, but you really need to play with the pre-constructed sets, because if you want a balanced, good experience, that's kind of where they're at.
Yeah. And as you get further into the Dominion library and more of those expansions, I would strongly recommend using that. And it also gives you a better flavor for the games that are in each expansion.
No, I like it. It's going right along with your theme. So we're saying we're going to get them sick.
We're going to get you
We'll
sick.
take advantage of them economically, and we'll curse you with our witches at every possible turn.
Yeah.
Is that what you're trying to get? Okay.
We got some supernatural. Yeah, that's definitely not what I'm saying.
Okay, maybe that's just what I'm saying.
Yeah.
All right. Awesome. No, that also is a really good pick. Okay, number 3 for me. Now that we've established how amazing we are as a species, we need to educate them. We need to give them a little bit of a rundown of some of the amazing life that can be found on Earth, some of the incredible things that exist here. So my number 3 is Ark Nova, to give them a really great taste for the diverse life that we have here on planet Earth.
I like it.
But also sort of reinforces this idea that, yes, we keep them in zoos for our entertainment.
And we're going to keep you in a zoo too.
And if you come, you may end up stuck in a zoo. So we are the dominant species, and you need to remember that if you ever come to visit, or we will put you in a zoo with the rest of the animals.
I guess that's why you didn't choose Earth. You chose Ark Nova.
Correct.
All right. So my number 2, we go back to another great mechanic building game, and that is Ticket to Ride. Ticket to Ride is a great game all about hand management, set collecting, and expansion and building. And I think for me, this is just gives a great sample of the variety of games that, the variety of mechanics that can be used to explore and identify why we think the way we do and how we problem solve. So I guess we're going to get you sick. We're going to steal from you. We're going to curse you with our witches, and we're going to steamroller you.
There you go.
If you get in our way,
you're doing the work for me at this point. I've trained you.
We're going to plow right over you.
That's right.
There you go.
Exactly. No, your list is really good, and I like Ticket to Ride. That's a great pick for this list. That's awesome. Okay, so my number 2 was a game, after we've established our dominance, we've, made sure that they understand they're going to get put in a zoo if they come and try to invade. You have to imagine that it's possible that the species or the alien life forms that find this are hostile, right? I mean, that's, we really are trying to avoid this Independence Day scenario. Okay. And so one thing we need to do is make them question, like, okay, hold on, what's real and what's not on this planet? And if we go there, are we just going to be racked by horrible nightmares the entire time? What is this going to do to us psychologically? Okay. So my number 2 pick is Final Girl. Okay. On top of being an absolutely fantastic game, which it really is, this game is also full of all kinds of nightmarish creatures and things that are out to kill and murder camps and cities and towns and houses full of people. And, if the aliens think for even 2 seconds that these things are real and something they would have to deal with, maybe they would think twice about visiting Earth if they had to deal with, Hans the Slayer or, Freddy Krueger or any of these other nightmarish people.
That's kind of funny. My top 10 games not to include are all the same reasons of your 5 to include.
Yeah. I'm getting that real quick. It's awesome.
All right. So my number one, it all comes down to this. We've established some game mechanics. We've established some styles of play. That brings us to a more recent game, and that is Meeple. And this game, I love this game, how it has a wide variety of mechanics that are going here, there, and everywhere, but we're using cards and we're reusing them and we're using them multiple ways, and we're being able to, in one deck, provide a wide variety of play options, track advancements, and being able to explore and expand in a whole unique way. I think Meeple with the bright colors, it just a pleasing. And again, I know we're only sending a rule book, but I think a lot of that color is comes across in that. And so for my number one game to send into space, my number one rule book to send into space is for Meeple.
Okay. That's an interesting pick. And honestly, I can't say anything, negative about it. Really, it's just kind of a shining beacon. It just sort of says, hey, come visit Earth. It's a great place.
Yeah. We got Airbnbs all over the place.
Yeah. So hopefully they can send your rule books and my rule books on the same probe. Because if it's just your rule books, they're visiting for sure.
Yeah. They're coming to steal all of our stuff. Whereas yours, they're just bringing a bigger stick.
Look at this colorful, beautiful, amazing civilization. Let's go plunder and pillage. Yeah. That's what they're thinking.
Yeah.
100%. Well, okay. So my number one is the exact opposite of that, is designed to absolutely scare them away and let them know that humanity will not stop. We have a total unwillingness to be tamed, even if it means we go absolutely insane in the process. So my number one is Cthulhu Death May Die, because if there's one thing they need to know about us, it is that we will stop at nothing, even if we have to sacrifice ourselves, and even if we go absolutely crazy in the process.
We will go bravely into the night.
Yeah, we won't go bravely. Yeah, we need to play that, the Independence Day speech, right?
Yeah.
We will not go quietly into the night. We will not disappear without a fight. I really do love Cthulhu Death May Die. It's a great game, but also sticking with the theme that I chose for this list, they need to know that we will sacrifice everything to take them down, just like you have to do when you're fighting the Elder Gods in Cthulhu Death May Die. Also, as a side note, it may teach them that we've mastered the arcane arts.
There you go.
And we will curse and fireball them back into oblivion should they choose to arrive in a hostile fashion.
So my question to you is, did you make your list after you looked at mine and thought, oh, your list is too soft?
No, I didn't. I took this prompt and I went down into my game room and I spent probably an hour just walking in circles. So my game room, it's down in the basement, and it's all 4 walls have games, with the table in the middle. And I just kind of circled. I just went around and around, and I just kept thinking and looking and kind of pondering. And I was like, okay, no, this is what I'm doing. This is the direction I'm going. So I kept looking for games, and I was like, okay, well, these are the ones that are kind of my top pick. Like, I like these games anyway. And then it all just kind of clicked with the theme and what I was trying to achieve with the list. So I had not seen your list when I made mine.
Oh, that's great. Because I did a similar thing. I came upstairs because I'm upstairs from my room, and I walked back and forth, and my wife kept asking me, what you doing? What are you doing up there? You're not playing anything. You're just walking back and forth. And so I did the same thing where I tried to find games. And then when I picked my first one, when I picked Pandemic, and I thought, okay, I'm going for mechanics. Catan was right there. Ticket to Ride was right there. And then then the pacing really began. It's like, okay, what other games are really good that just kind of introduce those basic mechanics? Because we want them to come to game night. But on that
we want them to come to game night as long as they know that they can't mess with us.
Yeah. So that did kind of lead me to also a list of 10 games not to include. So Lord of the Rings, any Lord of the Ring games, because didn't want them to think we had Balrogs that are still around. Opposed to your list, maybe that was a thing we should have done.
I should have put it on my list.
Yeah.
Show up and the Balrogs and the elves will mow you down.
Yeah. Gloomhaven. And that was, we have all sorts of monsters going there. We're in a kind of a primitive situation there. That Time You Killed Me, Yeah, I mean, I don't know. I thought that was a little maybe aggressive. The night cage where we're locking each other up in the basement.
Who are these people?
Yeah. Werewolf Salem together. Either of those kind of,
Again, who are these people?
Yeah, we're going to pass by this island. And then I have Cthulhu on there, anything Cthulhu related, because those elder gods are a force to be reckoned with for sure.
Well, Cthulhu, it's a little bit of a double-edged sword because Cthulhu is trans-dimensional, right?
It is, yeah.
So, I mean, they may actually be familiar with Cthulhu if he's visited their realm. They may actually seek refuge. They may be like
servants of Cthulhu.
Yeah, well, and that's also true, right? They could be servants, or they could be like, oh man, these guys know how to fight him. We should go seek shelter there.
Yeah.
So yeah, you never know with that one.
Yep. And then some of my space themed ones were Dune, anything Star Wars related, Secrets of the Lost Station, and of course, Nemesis.
I think I considered Nemesis.
Did you?
I just haven't played it. I still haven't played Nemesis. I think if I played
it
might have made my list.
Yeah.
Just to really show them.
Yeah.
This is what happened to the last aliens
guys
that tried to attack.
Yeah.
That's awesome. I noticed you also had some honorable mentions. I only had one honorable mention, and it is because the rule book is hilarious, and that is 51st State. If you haven't read the rule book for 51st State, they've interjected a ton of humor into that rule book, and it would be a fun one for an alien civilization to get their hands on. They probably wouldn't understand the humor, but it still is quite good.
Yeah. So some of my other honorable mentions are Seven Wonders Architect. Great, simple game. Lots of fresh mechanics there. Carcassonne and Catan are right there next to each other. Azul, Sagrada, both very visual, kind of map laying games. And then on that last line of kind of introducing the planet, I have Oceans and Earth should be on there too.
Yeah, but I considered both of those for those reasons. But
I think that's a great idea. It was some interesting things, and I'd love to be around to get their response to if it's a positive response. If they're coming to enslave and steal our resources, then bummer that we sent them a brochure.
Yeah. More than likely, any alien civilization is just going to look at anything we send and be like, these guys are idiots. We can take this over anytime we want.
Yeah. Yeah. We'll put them at the bottom of the list because they're pretty simple to, we're going to be putting them in the zoo.
Yeah. They're still using written rule books to convey information. How primitive.
Yeah. But it was a fun road to go down, and
fun thought experiment.
And it was very entertaining to be able to come up with those ideas and to decide what we should send to space. So if there's a list of games that you feel you think should be sent to space, I mean, I think in the first Voyager probe, I think chess was on there. I think checkers was on there. Just rules for those games. We're very curious. What games do you think would be included? And should we go Doug's route and say we carry the bigger stick, or should we go my route and have a brochure of what you can...
Look how plump and juicy and ready to eat we are.
Yeah. And volunteer our planet for subjugation?
Yep. That's the right word.
Volunteer our planet for subjugation and have kind of a whole Independence Day theme going on.
But we will not go quietly into the night.
No. And we will give you a virus that will make you all die.
Yeah, that's true. Whether it's a real virus or a computer virus.
Yeah.
Either way works for us.
Yeah. But anyways, that's our list of games for space.
That's awesome. Thanks, Salvatore. We appreciate the prompt. Tell us what is on your list of games you would send into space, and give us a prompt. Tell us what you would like us to talk about. We would love to entertain the possibilities. Drop us a line at meeplenation@gmail.com. As always, we would love to hear from you. Until next time,
we'll see you drawing those blueprints and figuring out what you're going to send to space at the game table.
Thank you for listening and being a part of Meeple Nation. If you would be so kind as to follow, subscribe, share, and rate or review this podcast, it really helps to spread the fun. You can be more involved in supporting the podcast by joining the nation at patreon.com/MeepleNation, or you can find a link at the top of our webpage, meeplenation.com. And while you're there, look at all our extra content. There are links to all our past episodes, a wide variety of blogs, pictures from our Instagram feed, and bios for all the hosts and our awesome bloggers. Follow us on Twitter, Instagram, and Facebook. all under Meeple Nation. If you would like to chat with the hosts or other members of the nation, you can join our Facebook group, Meeple Nation Off Air. We hope to see you again at a game night, a con, or maybe a suspense-driven evening of werewolf. Thank you for listening and supporting Meeple Nation, and stay tuned for next week's episode.
Thank you so much for listening. We very much want to thank our patrons who help keep the podcast running. I personally want to thank my co-hosts for all the help they provide with both content here on the podcast, in addition to what we have available on our website. Without them, the podcast would not happen. If you too would like to support the podcast, you can join the nation at patreon.com/Meeple_nation. Or you can find a link to Patreon at the top of our webpage, meeplenation.com. If you have any questions, comments, or games you feel should be on our radar, you can always reach us at meeplenation@gmail.com. We can't wait to hear from you. I am grateful to Doug and Andy who helped me edit episodes, and I want to thank James and Kim Clark who do the editing on our blogs and on our webpage, which can be found at meeplenation.com. We want to thank Brain Detergent for our music. If you want to find more from him, you can follow his links that can be found on our webpage, or simply search for Brain Detergent on YouTube to find more of his tracks. Thank you again for listening and being part of the Meeple Nation community.